what did it actually take to outfit a German soldier in the Second World War? Today we are breaking down the complete, historically accurate combat loadout of a standard World War II German Heer infantryman. We will analyze the exact primary weapons, survival gear, and uniform components issued to the frontline Lanzer. Let's begin our analysis first. Let's examine the Karabiner 98K. This was the standard issue bolt-action rifle for the German infantrymen. It proved highly reliable and accurate across all combat theaters. The weapon fired a powerful cartridge and formed the backbone of squad-level tactics. Millions of these rifles were produced throughout the conflict. Its robust design made it a defining symbol of the German Heer. Next, we have the 7.92 x 57mm Mauser ammunition. This was the primary caliber used for the standard Kar 98K rifle. A standard combat loadout consisted of exactly 60 rounds per rifleman. These rounds were pre-loaded onto 5-round stripper clips for rapid reloading under fire. The heavy bullet provided excellent ballistics and penetrating power. This precise ammunition load ensured the soldier could sustain an initial firefight. Let's continue with the Model 1911 ammunition pouches. The infantryman was issued 2 of these specialized leather pouches. Each pouch featured 3 distinct vertical compartments. Within each compartment, the soldiers stored 2 5-round stripper clips. This meant each pouch held exactly 30 rounds, totaling 60 rounds across the belt. These pouches were worn on the front of the belt for immediate access. Moving on to the S84 2983 bayonet. This was the standard issue close combat weapon assigned to all riflemen. It was designed to lock securely onto the muzzle of the Kar 98K rifle. However, soldiers frequently used it as a versatile utility knife in the field. The blade was robust, featuring a distinct fuller down the side. It remained a mandatory piece of kit from the beginning to the end of the war. Next up is the Model 24 steel hand granate, or the Model 39A hand granate. The Model 24 was the iconic stick grenade, offering excellent throwing leverage. The wooden handle allowed soldiers to hurl the explosive over impressive distances. Alternatively, the Model 39 egg grenade was much smaller and easier to carry in pockets. Both utilized a friction primer ignition system rather than a standard pin. These explosives were vital for clearing trenches and fortified positions. Let's look at the Walther P38, or Luger P-Surette pistol. It is important to note these were not issued to standard riflemen. They were strictly reserved for officers, non-commissioned officers, machine gunners, and specialized roles. The Luger P08 is famous for its toggle lock mechanism and sleek profile. The Walther P38 eventually replaced it due to its simpler, more rugged design. Both sidearms fired the standard 9mm Parabellum cartridge. First for load bearing is the equipment belt, known as the Koppel. This was the foundational piece of gear for the German soldier. Early in the war, these belts were manufactured from thick, high-quality black leather. By the late war period, material shortages forced a switch to canvas web construction. All essential combat gear was suspended directly from this sturdy belt. It had to be durable enough to handle significant weight in harsh conditions. Next is the belt buckle, or Koppelschloss. This metal buckle secured the equipment belt tightly around the soldier's waist. It was prominently stamped with the traditional motto, Gott mit Might, uns, meaning God with us. Early versions were made of stamped aluminum with a pebbled finish. Later in the war, production shifted to painted steel to conserve crucial metals. The buckle was both functional and a distinct piece of military insignia. Moving on to the Y-straps, officially the Koppeltragegestel. These leather suspenders were introduced in 1939 to help distribute the heavy belt weight. By 1941, they became universally standard across the German Heer. They hooked onto the front of the belt and connected to the back. This system prevented the heavy ammunition pouches from dragging the belt down. Y-straps were critical for maintaining mobility during long infantry marches. Let's continue with the bayonet frog, or Seidengaftusgay. This was a dedicated leather carrier designed specifically for the S84 the 98.3 bayonet. It slid directly onto the equipment belt, usually worn on the left hip. The frog securely held the metal bayonet scabbard in place during combat maneuvers. It ensured the blade was always within reach for hand-to-hand engagements. Infantrymen relied on this simple but effective leather suspension loop. Next up is the entrenching tool carrier. This component held the soldier's spade firmly to the equipment belt. Early models were constructed entirely from durable, high-quality leather. As the war progressed, the military transitioned to a material called Prischstoff. This ersatz, or substitute, leather helped save vital resources for the war effort. The carrier featured specialized straps to keep the heavy shovel from bouncing while running. First in field gear is the M38 gas mask canister, or Gasmaskenbuche. This distinct corrugated metal tin was carried by every single German soldier. Inside, it securely housed the issued gas mask and a set of spare lenses. The rigid, fluted design protected the delicate mask from being crushed in the field. It was usually slung over the shoulder and rested on the lower back. This canister is one of the most recognizable pieces of German field equipment. Next, we have the gas cape pouch, or Gasplane-Tasche. This small pouch was made from a specially treated, rubberized cloth. It contained an anti-gas cape designed to protect against chemical blister agents. Soldiers typically strapped this pouch directly to the gas mask canister strap. Alternatively, it was sometimes worn flat across the soldier's chest. It was a mandatory survival item despite chemical weapons rarely being used on the battlefield. Moving on to the M31 canteen, or Feldflasche 31. This essential hydration tool was originally manufactured from lightweight aluminum. Later in the conflict, production shifted to steel due to severe material shortages. It was covered in a heavy felt material to help insulate the drinking water. A drinking cup, made of either aluminum or bakelite, was strapped directly to the top. The canteen clipped securely to the bread bag for easy access. Let's look at the bread bag, or Bratbeutel 31. This was a versatile canvas bag worn on the right rear hip. Despite its name, it carried much more than just daily food rations. Soldiers used it to store their rifle cleaning kits, spare ammunition, and personal items. It featured loops and D-rings used to attach the canteen and mess kit. The bread bag was an indispensable catch-all container for the frontline infantrymen. Next is the entrenching tool, known as the Schanzug. Infantrymen were initially issued a straight, fixed-blade spade called the Kleinstschanzug. Later in the war, the more versatile folding spade, or Klappspaten, was introduced. This tool was absolutely vital for digging defensive foxholes and trenches. In desperate close-quarters combat, it also doubled as a brutal melee weapon. The shovel was worn tightly secured to the equipment belt on the hip. Let's begin the cooking gear with the M31 mess kit, or Kopfgeschirr 31. This two-piece cooking pot was essential for hot meals on the front line. The top lid featured a folding handle and doubled as a shallow frying pan. Originally made of aluminum, it was later stamped from cheaper steel. Soldiers usually strapped the mess kit directly to the outside of the bread bag. It could also be attached to the canvas assault A-frame on the back. Next, we have the Esbit folding stove. This was a remarkably small, pocket-sized field stove used by the troops. It operated by burning small, solid hexamine fuel tablets. While often a personal purchase or acquired via field canteens, it was ubiquitous. Soldiers relied on it to quickly boil water or heat up tinned rations. Its compact folding design made it perfectly suited for rough infantry conditions. First for shelter is the Zeltbahn 31. This was a highly versatile triangular shelter quarter and poncho. It was printed in the distinct geometric splittertarn, or splinter, camouflage pattern. A single soldier could wear it as a camouflaged rain poncho to stay dry. When combined with three others, it formed a complete four-man pyramid tent. The Zeltbahn was a revolutionary piece of multi-purpose military field gear. Next is the tent accessories pouch, or Zeltzubecher. This was a small, unassuming cloth bag carried by the soldier. It contained the necessary hardware to erect the Zeltbahn shelter. Inside were two interlocking wooden tent poles and two metal tent pegs. It also included a guy rope to secure the tent against the wind. This kit allowed the infantry squad to quickly build shelters in harsh weather. Let's move to uniforms, starting with the field tunic or Feldbluse. This was the primary combat jacket worn by the German infantrymen. Several models existed, notably the M36, M40, M42, and the late war M44. Early models featured pleated pockets and a distinct dark green collar. As the war dragged on, the design was simplified to speed up mass production. The tunic provided basic warmth and featured internal suspenders for belt support. Next up are the field trousers, or Feldhosen. In the pre-1940 period, these trousers were issued in a distinct Steingrau, or stone gray, color. From 1940 onwards, they were manufactured in the standard Feldgrau to match the tunic. They were designed to be baggy enough to allow for rigorous physical movement in combat. The trousers featured internal attachment points for traditional button-style suspenders. They were ruggedly built to withstand the abrasive conditions of ground combat. Let's continue with the footwear. Early in the war, soldiers famously marched in tall leather jackboots, known as Marschstiefel. These iconic boots were durable and offered excellent lower leg protection. However, leather shortages forced a massive logistical change around 1941. The military widely replaced them with shorter ankle boots, called Schnürschuhe. These ankle boots were worn in conjunction with heavy canvas gaiters, or Gamaschen. Next is the iconic steel helmet, or Stahlhelm. This provided critical shrapnel and ballistic protection for the soldier's head. The primary models issued during the war were the M35, M40, and M42. The M35 featured a rolled rim and separately inserted ventilation grommets. The M42 simplified the manufacturing process by leaving the rim unrolled and flaring outward. The Stahlhelm is arguably the most recognizable piece of German military hardware in history. Moving on to the field cap. When not wearing the heavy steel helmet, soldiers wore lighter cloth headgear. Early on, the M38 side cap, nicknamed the Schiffchen, was the standard issue. It was a simple envelope-style cap made of field gray wool. Later, the military introduced the universally standard M43 field cap, or Einheitsbeltmütze. The M43 featured a functional visor and ear flaps, becoming heavily favored by the troops. Next, we have the base layers. Beneath the heavy wool uniform, soldiers wore a standard issue shirt. This shirt was typically dyed in a field gray or a reed green color. The military also issued heavy wool socks to prevent trench foot and blistering. Basic cotton or wool underwear completed the soldiers' primary clothing layers. Proper base layers were absolutely crucial for surviving the bitter European winters. First for sustenance is the standard daily issue rations. A soldier's typical frontline diet relied heavily on dense carbohydrates. This usually meant knäckebrot, which was a hard bread, or a heavy Kommissbrot loaf. Protein came in the form of tinned meat, known as Fleischkonserve, alongside sausage or cheese. To drink, soldiers were often given a bitter substitute coffee called Ersatzkaffee. These rations were calorie-dense but frequently monotonous during long campaigns. Next is the iron ration, or Eisern portion. This was a strict emergency food reserve issued to every frontline soldier. It was permanently kept inside the bread bag and only eaten upon direct orders. The ration typically consisted of 250 grams of hard, durable biscuits. It also included a 200-gram tin of preserved meat. The iron ration was the soldier's absolute last resort to stave off starvation. Moving to identification, we start with the Sollbusch. This was the individual soldier's central identity and service record book. It contained comprehensive logs of his pay, unit transfers, and issued equipment. Medical personnel also used it to record vaccinations, blood type, and sustained wounds. The book was mandatory to carry at all times, usually kept in the tunic pocket. It was the absolute most important document a German soldier possessed. Next is the Erkennungsmarke, the German dog tag. This was an oval-shaped disc made of zinc or lightweight aluminum. It was worn constantly around the soldier's neck on a cord. The disc was stamped with the soldier's unit information and personal roll number. Crucially, it was scored down the middle so it could be cleanly snapped in half upon death. One half stayed with the body, while the other was sent back for casualty processing. First for personal gear are the maintenance kits. The absolute most essential was the M34 rifle cleaning kit, or Reinigungsgrad 34. This small metal tin held brushes and oil, and was strictly kept in the bread bag. Soldiers also carried dedicated boot cleaning kits to preserve their leather footwear. A small sewing kit, affectionately known as the Kameradenhilfe, was issued for uniform repairs. Keeping equipment operational was a matter of life and death. Next, let's cover hygiene. Maintaining field sanitation was difficult but required for unit health. Soldiers carried a basic shaving kit alongside a toothbrush and a comb. A block of hard field soap, known as Kernseife, was standard issue for washing. They also carried a small cloth towel to dry off after river or bucket baths. Good hygiene practices help prevent the spread of disease in crowded trench networks. Finally, let's conclude with miscellaneous items. Soldiers carried various small comforts to maintain morale on the front line. Cigarettes and a reliable lighter or matches were highly prized commodities. A sturdy pocket knife was essential for opening rations and daily utility tasks. Soldiers carefully guarded letters and photographs from home, alongside small notebooks and pencils. These tiny personal items connected the combat infantrymen back to their civilian life. To conclude our analysis, the combat gear of the World War II German Heer infantrymen reveals the stark reality of frontline logistics. Each piece of equipment, from the Karabiner 98 Kai to the multi-purpose Zeltbahn, was originally engineered for maximum combat efficiency. However, as our breakdown shows, the timeline of this gear clearly traces the logistical decline of the German military through the forced adoption of ersatz materials. Understanding this exact, historically accurate loadout provides a vital window into the daily operational reality of the standard Lancer. Let's turn this historical analysis over to you. Which specific piece of German field equipment do you believe was the most critical for survival on the battlefield? Let me know your detailed thoughts in the comments section below so we can continue this discussion. If you found this historical breakdown valuable, please hit the like button and subscribe to the channel for more expert military analyses. Until next time, keep studying the past and thank you for watching.